Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of the new wave of traditional heavy metal primer. Alongside in the co-captain's chair, as always, Mr. Rich Catino.
What's up? What's up, guys?
What's happening, Rich?
How you doing?
Good. Doing all right.
Good.
Your summer's almost over, right? Get back to work for you.
Yep. Getting there. Yep.
Yeah.
A couple more weeks in the summer.
Yeah, that's it, right? I don't know. This has been such a weird, hot, humid summer. I'm just looking forward to the fall at this point. You know.
Well, we've had a couple of days here that feel like fall a little bit, right? A little cooler in the 70s.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been I don't even know if I've been in my pool in August. Maybe one day, maybe two, and it's just like, and now it's been so cool at night. Like I just went and checked the water temperature is like 68.
Yeah.
So, is it going to get warm enough to get that back up into the mid 70s? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I might be closing this shit down soon. It's like, oh well. It's either feast or famine, right? With my pool, it's in the backyard. It's right in the sun all the time. So when we had those really hot weeks, it was even too hot to be out back there. It's just like, it's just crazy. But whatever, it is what it is. So we've got another fun show planned for you guys today. 5 more cool new wave of traditional heavy metal bands from around the globe. And this has been fun kind of listening, because a lot of these bands have been new to me. We basically pick 5 new ones each month, and sometimes there's ones that we're familiar with, and a lot of times it's not, because there's just so many of these bands.
And we're not picking them, like, we're not picking everybody, because there is a lot, and there's some that we've said before that they're not very good, or the production's not very good, and we're picking the ones that either you like or I like, and then we're just recommending them to each other, because there's a couple that you recommended that I didn't even know, and I did the same for you. So there's a couple new discoveries for us, right?
Yeah, and we've had some good recommendations from viewers as well,
Yes.
and we've thrown some of them in as well. So but you're 100% correct. There's just way too much to even think that we could cover all of it. At some point we'll see how many we've amassed, but there's just so many, and some of them, a lot of them sound the same and whatnot. But it's just good that I think there are a lot of younger bands who are kind of latching onto this style of metal that was kind of all the rage back when we were kids, right? So it's definitely very cool. So we're going to start off today. We're going to go to Calgary, Alberta, Canada, for a band called Traveler.
Right.
So this is their brand new one here. This is called, let me hold it up a little closer. This is called Prequel to Madness.
Right.
And this came out this year. This actually,
2024.
2024, fairly new band. New-ish bands, right? They've been around since 2017. This is their previous album, which is called Termination Shock. They've got 3 full albums. And in the band, we've got this really great singer named JP Aboud, Torian Shadlick and Matt Rise on guitars, Chad Valier and Nolan Benedetti on drums, and then Dave Arnold and Jake Wendt on bass. I guess they had like multiple people working on playing bass and drums on this album. But so this is and they got pretty cool artwork. So if you look carefully, this kind of like I don't even know what you call him, right? But he's basically on both CD covers, right? You can see him, whatever this creature is, I guess. What would you call it, Rich? That's their mascot, I guess, whatever this guy is.
Right. He's the Traveler, right? It kind of reminds me of from the Alien movies. There's always the on the artwork, not the alien itself, but there's always that person that's in the movies, right?
Oh yeah.
The humanoid, right?
Yes, the what are they called? The engineers, right? It's kind of like
that. So kind of reminds me of that. And the new cover I wrote down, it reminds me, it's got a very comic book style, right? With the colors and the way it's drawn.
Yeah, and you know what? If you look at his face really quickly, forget all the tentacles and all this stuff. I thought like maybe Deathlock the Demolisher, right? A little bit. So but but definitely a cool band. This band is one of my favorites of all the ones we're talking about today. I think I have another one of the bands that I like a little bit more, but I get from this band, there's lots of twin guitar harmonies going all over the place. A lot of like crunchy guitar riffs. The production's kind of raw, but I think it really works.
It is one of the rawer productions out of all these bands.
Yeah, but it works for them, right? For their style of music. You know what? I don't know. I get like First two Maiden albums, and maybe the first Satan album. I get like a lot of new wave of British heavy metal feel on this.
That, and I also wrote down not just new wave, but from America, the band Omen. The singer reminded me of that guy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right, and then from the newer bands, they remind me a little bit of Riot City. They kind of compliment each other, right?
Yep, I think so. And this is on No Remorse Records. This new one, like I said, came out this year. Some really good tracks on here. I really like "Take the Wheel." I think it's a great song. I think the song "Dark Skull" has got some really cool riffing.
Wrote that one down.
And on that one, I get a little feel of like maybe Power Slave era Maiden a little bit.
Dark Skull, right?
Yeah.
I like the changes in it, the kind of the riffs, how they switch out a little bit, but they're, to the point. They're kind of catchy. I wrote that down. I like that one.
Yeah. And like Skullfist, I think they're not afraid to do some speed metal stuff. I think The Law kind of goes there into speed metal territory, which I think is good. Rebels of the Earth is just a good fist-pumping, mid-paced kind of metal anthem.
Yep, good changes also. A little more melodic, that one. I wrote that down.
Yeah, and this guy, JP, is such a really good singer. I mean, he's great on Heavy Hearts and No Fate. And No Fate's got some really cool, intricate riffing, which I think is really cool. Vagrants of Time has got a lot of twin guitar harmonies, which I love. And I think the closing title track is really, really cool. It's got this epic feel, loads of lead guitars, good speed metal riffing. I think it's a really good closer and a great way to kind of close this album, which I think is really good. I don't know, did you get a chance to listen to Termination Shock as well? I think this is also really good, but to me is a little more straightforward than this. There's I think a little more variety on this one.
Yeah, and I wrote down for Termination Shock the title track, which I thought the solo section was really tight, and I wrote down it was kind of reminiscent of like the first two Vicious Rumors albums. Remember how they were, kind of very shred attack on those albums?
Yep.
And you mentioned early Iron Maiden. I wrote down from the first album, the self-titled one here. It's Condomized with a K.
Yep.
That instrumental was like the first two Maiden type of instrumentals on those the Anno albums,
Yeah, for sure. Good band.
Yep.
I think they're really good. I think a lot of people on the channel here would like these guys. So Traveler, like I said, they got 3 albums. I got the 2 most recent. They're both really good. But this Prequel to Madness is from 2024. Good chance this might rank pretty high for us at the end of the year when we're kind of putting our best of the year stuff together.
It's going to be in my 20, I think, 2025. Yep.
Yeah, it's quite good. I dig it quite a bit. So good band from Canada. It seems like there's a lot of these bands up in Canada. We've come across.
Yeah, there's a few, right? I think Riot City's from there also, right?
Yep, for sure. And we have one more today we're going to talk about that are also from Canada. But before we do that, we're going to go to Serbia.
These bands are truly international, right?
They're all over the place. And the band from Serbia is called Claymorean. And they have been around. They formed in 1994, but they've gone through so many changes over the years, change in name, change in lineup. And they actually didn't start releasing albums till 2003.
There was one, though, and they were called Claymore, actually.
Claymore, yep, exactly.
At the time, right? And then they reformed 10 years later, and that's when they put on the Claymorean.
Yeah, so now they go under the name Claymorean. They've got 3 studio albums in the Claymorean. They have a live album. They've got a couple live albums. They got a compilation that they just released. So their last new original studio record was Eulogy for the Gods, which was 2021. Great cover artwork on these too, by the way. And the new one is basically just the one that they just released is like a compilation of stuff from all throughout their career. And in this band, we've got the kind of the driving force behind the band is Dijana Garcevic. She's the singer. She's has been with the band from the beginning. We've got Vladimir Garcevic.
She was on the first album too, when they were Claymore.
I think she was, if I'm not mistaken. I might have to double check.
Because when I looked at that album up, the lineup, there's only 3 people.
Okay, well, it's got to be one of the Garcevics had to have been in the band, right? Because the whole band is basically her, Vladimir Garcevic on guitars, Goran Garcevic on bass, and I don't know, are they brothers and sisters? I'm not really sure. Uros Kovacevic is also on guitars, and Marko Novacevic Kovacevic and Marko Novakovic on drums. God, I can't pronounce these names. So again, we've got 3 Garcevics. So I don't know whether it's two brothers and a sister, or she's married to one of them and they're brothers. I'm not really sure what the deal is. But
sorry guys if we got it wrong, because actually it's cool that Claymorean actually watches these videos. So
they do. So I'm sure.
Thanks for checking us out, guys.
Yeah. So correct us on whatever we're doing wrong down the bottom. But these guys are basically like big, epic, classic metal, right? Like epic, like big bombastic arrangements, and it's kind of European power metal-y, but it's still got that roots in some of the American scene from the early 80s. And
like Virgin Steel, and they actually cover a Virgin Steel song on the Eulogy for the Gods album. Yep. They do Burning of Rome, which is an excellent cover.
Yep.
So yeah, interesting how that you brought up that, that's got that parallel to that band, and they're influenced by them, and they have that cover. So yeah, very kind of familiar territory, right?
Yeah, and they love that stuff. And even on this new, the latest studio album, the Lords of Light track is a tribute to Mark Shelton from Manila Road. So Manila Road, another one of those early classic metal bands from the States here. So they know their classic metal bands really, really well. So right there, you got a tribute to Manila Road, and they do a cover of a Virgin Steel song. So right there, that's pretty cool. But yeah, there's good stuff on here. She's got a really like powerful voice. Like, to me, listen to her, it's almost like Doro on steroids.
Kind of, I wrote down that she reminds me of, when she does the more aggressive vocal and the higher screams, the singer for Burning Witches.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But when she's not singing that way, she does have her own voice, so she doesn't sound like her. It's not as edgy or aggressive when she's doing the regular voice.
And I think too, because I've also got Sounds from a Dying World, which is from what year did this come out?
2017.
2017. So this is really good too. I will say the production on this album, though, she's mixed like way higher than everything else, and she's almost too overpowering. Where I think on this album, the most recent one, I think everything just is clicking from a production standpoint.
And it's more polished too. That one's more polished than the previous one.
Yeah, I would agree. This is really, for me, the one that I like the most. Songs to look for on here. Hunter of the Damned is a really good opener, really good riffing. She's sounding great. Mm-hmm. Battle in the Sky's got this lead bass that kicks off the track, which is really, really cool. You don't hear that a lot. You mentioned the cover of the Virgin Steel song, The Burning of Rome, Cry for Pompeii, which is great. Mm-hmm. In the Tombs of Atuan is also really, really good.
Actually, that song reminds me of this band, Riot. I wrote that down. The twin guitar, the harmonies, very Riot influenced, it feels for me.
Yep. I just wish that song was longer, because it's like the shortest track on the album. It's pretty damn kick-ass. And they do a redo of a song called Blood of the Dragon, which is, I guess, one of their earlier tracks. I actually like that the least on this album. Again, it's maybe, you mentioned how they sound a little bit more polished on this album. Well, that's taking a track from, a song from in their past and kind of redoing it. But everything else on here is really good. It's a really good sounding album. And like I said, I like this other one as well, but I think the newer one is, for me, kind of where it's at. It's really, really good stuff.
Yeah, that one. And I do like Unbroken too, from 2015, which has really cool artwork, right?
Yeah.
It's got the whole
all the artwork is great. I mean, just look at this stuff.
It's
awesome. I mean, this looks professional, right? It's just very cool.
If you like the newer bands, if you like Eternal Champion and Gatekeeper, then you'll like Claymorean, right?
Yeah. Yep. Oh, for sure. Let me see if I got a.
And did you get a chance to listen to that first album, the one that's called The First Dawn of Sorrow?
No.
I checked that out when they were called Claymore. And it's interesting. Their music is not as it sounds like they're trying to get to the point that they got with these 3 albums. But when you listen to that album, it sounds like the first 2. You remember the first 2 Camelot albums?
Yeah.
When they had that other singer,
and
he was singing really high all the time. And there's a couple songs on each of those albums that are pretty good, but they weren't in their zone yet. That first album kind of reminds me of that and like the first 2 Symphony X albums.
Gotcha. Yeah, they haven't quite figured it out yet, right?
Right. They're trying to put all the pieces together.
Yeah. Those first 2 Symphony X albums, especially the first album. The second album, I think it's starting to come into play, But really, with the Divine Wings of Tragedy, whereas everything just clicked. But like that, you listen to that first Symphony X album with the original singer, and it's all like this neoclassical speed metal stuff. It's just so like basic compared to like where they started to on the second album, Damnation Game, but for sure on Divine Wings of Tragedy.
Yeah, that's a cool listen if you want to check that first album out when they were called Claymore. I like checking that out first to see how they evolved, you know?
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go from Serbia all the way back to the States. We're going to go to Austin, Texas for a band formed in 2008, and that is Eternal Champion. Now, speaking about cool cover art, let me just take this out because this is like,
who's that? The artist, Franzetta.
Let's see.
Right?
No, Ken Kelly,
right?
Ken Kelly.
I know, but he reminds me of that. That's the Franzetta kind of artwork, right?
Yeah, he's definitely trying to get like a Frazetta type, Frank Frazetta type of thing.
Yeah,
and Frank Frazetta was famous for doing all those old Conan books and the Mars series, and did those early Molly Hatchet album covers. Whereas Ken Kelly also has done a lot of stuff in that vein. That worked on a lot of the Grateful Dead album covers and Journey, and has done all sorts of other stuff. So this is like pretty terrific. And again,
in that style,
how metal is that, right? I mean, it's just like sword and sorcery, just all that metal. And this album is called Ravening Iron.
Right, the most recent one, which is 4 years ago already. So they haven't put anything new since 2020.
They haven't done anything. Yeah, this is on No Remorse Records. So it's been 4 years. They formed in 2008. This is just crushing old school metal. They got 2 full-length albums. They have another one that came out before this, which I tried to get, but then I believe they ran out of stock on it because my order got canceled. So it's probably pretty hard to get right now. They've got a few EPs, got a few splits, and basically the band is Jason Tarpey on vocals, John Powers on guitar, Arthur Rizk on drums and guitar and bass. And then right now, as of like today, I don't think they have a bass player. I'm not really sure what's going on, but they've, like I said, they started releasing albums in 2012. They formed in 2008. This is a really good album. A really, really good album.
Right.
It starts off with a Face in the Glare, which is just super crunchy, mid-paced metal. Jason's vocals are awesome. The riffs.
Did you hear my neighbor's dog?
Yeah.
You do?
I was going to say, I knew you had a dog there, Rich.
Wait, hold on a second. Let me close the windows out here. I'm on my sun porch. He's making a lot of racket.
There you go. Well, that's what dogs do, right?
Is that better?
Yeah. Let's see what else. Title track reminds me of Haunt. It's got a little bit of cool gallop going there.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that. Skull Seeker is a total crusher, total headbanger.
Yeah, these riffs they don't try and do anything too complicated, right? Just keep it to the point and punchy and riffy. They remind me of, from the newer bands, Warrior Path, which I don't know if we got to them yet, did we?
No.
All right, Warrior Path, Helm's Deep, who we've covered.
Yep.
And Gatekeeper again.
Yeah, Gatekeeper for sure. Yeah. Worms of the Earth is a great tune. The Godblade, Banners of R, was it R High, R Bay, something like that.
All right.
R High, just one riff fest after another here. Warriors at the Edge of the War at the Edge of the End is another really great one.
Godblade.
Yeah. And that closer, Banners of R High, is almost kind of doomy in spots. It's really good. And I love the production of this album. It's really ferocious.
Ferocious. It's not too bass heavy or anything.
Nah.
It's nicely balanced. I even wrote down that this band, like that song Banners of R High, the vocal line kind of follows the guitars a lot too.
Yeah.
Notice that? Follows the melody, And you know what they remind me of when we go to think of the older bands that they're influenced by? They remind me of Tokyo Blade and Kyra Thungle.
Tokyo Blade. That's maybe a little bit, especially with the guitar tones, I think. Mm-hmm. I think they're a little bit crunchier than Sarah Thungle, I think, for me. But definitely they have that heaviness,
Yeah.
like doomy edge to them. But definitely I think the guitar tones and the soloing kind of like Tokyo Blade a little bit. But man, yeah, this is good. I mean, it's been 4 years, guys, since their last one. I would love to hear another one because this is really good. I would say, Rich, this is my favorite out of all the bands we're talking about today. My favorite release.
I think so too. As I look at the 5 of them we're talking
I
about,
like the Traveler a lot too, but I think I like this more.
Yep. And the last album too, Armor of Ire from 2016, is equally good. It's not like it's got less quality to it or production or anything. I think it's very familiar, right, to the second one.
Yeah. There's not that much of a drop off from one to the other. It's basically they kind of figured it out right off the bat, and they just put out 2 albums that are just both really, really kick ass. So folks, you can still get this one. Good luck finding the one before it, but you can still go on Bandcamp and listen to it, and I think you can get a digital copy, so that's not an issue. But yeah, definitely worth getting. And like I said, hopefully these guys from Texas will get something else new in the not too distant future. We'll see.
They're still active because I'm looking at their Facebook page.
Yeah, they're posting stuff all the time. So
yeah, they played Bloodstock 2024, so they're still active.
So you have to wonder if they just, they put this album out right at the beginning of COVID, and they've just kind of been chilling since. So I don't know, but
and busy playing shows.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, they are playing out there, and like I said, they're posting stuff on their Facebook page all the time. So, but yeah, it's been 4 years, guys. We need another album.
They're from Texas, so they probably played that Hell's Heroes festival. I would assume,
you would think, right? Yeah, you would think
they probably have, and we just have to look at the poster again to see if they're there.
Yeah.
But they should if they haven't, because they're great.
Really good band. That would be my recommendation. If you're only going to check out one of these bands, that's the one to check out. Really good stuff. Vocals are great. Just super kick-ass guitars. Just wall of crunch, start to finish. Just really memorable songs. So All right. So next up, we're going to go to Kempten, Germany. And let me bring them onto the stage here because neither one of us has any hard copies of anything here. So this
tried getting it out, but both of us weren't able to get it either.
No, weren't able to get it. So this is a band called Thriller. This is a pretty new band. This is a band called Thriller.
Yeah.
Street Metal is their album.
Yep.
And like I said, that album came out in 2023. That's their only album to date. And they formed in 2022. So they're pretty new. Yep. And this is just straight up early 80s metal, a little bit of speed metal.
Yep.
Priest, Gravedigger, Anvil, Raven. That's sort of thing. Except 100%.
I even wrote down Old Striker.
Yep.
Fans of Striker.
Yep.
And have you heard of this band called Road Wolf? I don't know if we've gotten to them yet.
We haven't gotten to. I've heard of them, but I haven't listened to them now.
Very familiar to Road Wolf. If you like them, I think they're great. And then I also wrote down a little bit of modern Saxon, like Unleash the Beast and Metalhead.
Yeah, I could see that too. They just have that sound, like they obviously, you can tell they listen to like the big heavy hitters from the day, the early mid 80s. And but it's good stuff. And we got they use these weird names. So they got Vic on bass, Chris on guitar, Rowdy on guitar, Juez on vocals, and Arnold on drums. So that's the band. So I think this might be my least favorite of all of these, but I still think it's pretty good. They love the big chorus and the gang choruses and things like that. Except I think they overdo it just a little bit. Okay. But I think still the music is really good. I mean, like Aiming for Freedom, killer song.
Yep.
Proud to Be Different's got some good hooks on it. I really like Days Are Gone, which is pretty speedy.
Wrote down too. Yep.
And maybe like the most catchiest song on here. Well, there's a couple of them. Bring Me to Light and Spikes and Leather.
Spikes and Leather, yep.
Stuff like Cities on Fire, which is kind of like speed metal. But it's like once you get to like the back end of the album, it's just this nonstop kind of gang vocal on the chorus all the time. And it's just like it's almost like they play it out a little bit too much. Okay. But I still think it's a pretty good album. I like the closer, Falling Night. That's again pretty catchy. They have a way of writing good hooks, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, and catchy riffs.
Yeah, which I like.
The riffs and a lot of the dual guitar parts remind me of Judas Priest, Defenders.
Yeah,
and Painkiller too.
Yep, yeah, for sure. You can tell they're Priest fans.
Yeah,
for sure. They like their Priest. They like their Accept. They like their Anvil and Raven and stuff like that. And
that's great.
Yeah, so it's good. It's solid. I like it.
And if you go to their Facebook page, they're active live too. They got their Street Metal Live 2024 up there with all the dates that they were playing. So they're still, they're still doing it. So hopefully we get another record maybe next year.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So, all right. From there, we're going to go back to Canada. We're going to go to Toronto, Ontario, for a band that's has a few albums out. I have a couple of theirs, but for whatever reason, I can't seem to find my CDs. But the band is called Cauldron. And guys, there's a lot of bands called Cauldron. As I found, there's a death metal band. There's a band who was around in the 80s. There's these guys. There's a whole bunch of them. But these guys, I think, have made the most impact. They've been on a bunch of different labels.
They're one of the first ones, too, from this movement, like with Stryker and who else have we talked about? Skullfist, Night Demon, Enforcer. So they were really around because their first album is, what year is it? 2009.
Yeah, because they formed in 2006. So they just started pumping out albums. They've got 5 full lengths already. So this one here, New Gods, is the most recent. That was 2018. So it's been a while for them as well.
Right.
But they got EPs and splits. So they've been releasing stuff. They just haven't done another, full length. But this is just, and they're really melodic because they got a singer who I think is very different from a lot of these other singers we've talked about in
Absolutely.
these bands. He reminds me of Papa from Ghost a little bit at times.
You read my mind. I was going to say the same thing. He's kind of got that straightforward, kind of monotone, melodic kind of delivery. Doesn't do the screams and the yells and things like that. It's just kind of like this, kind of like even tone, pleasant kind of delivery going on, right? Sometimes it gets a little more aggressive, a little more edgy, but not by much.
No, not at all. Not at all. And it's funny because like I went and looked back on our webzine and I've reviewed a whole bunch of their albums. So I think I've been kind of listening to these guys from the beginning, and it's amazing how even like back on their like second album, third album, I in my reviews, I basically said that like musically it's great, but I'm not sure the vocals fit because they're very different. But then as you like keep listening to their albums and it's the same kind of formula, you realize that his vocals actually do fit the music well because it is so different, and it makes them sound pretty unique. But really good. I mean, musically, it's great stuff. I mean, there's nothing to not like here. There's great guitar tones, a lot of good riffing, great soloing. And the songs are not that long. And then he throws in these kind of like, like melodic rock, almost pop style vocals. And it works. It works.
And these guys have a couple of videos out too, like this for the song All or Nothing. There's a promo video. It's like a day in the life of, the band. It's got a better production too. That's the second album. And I also wrote down the singer uses more of his voice too. So as the albums go along, he kind of uses more of his range just a little bit, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that because the album that came out before, In Ruin from 2016, he kind of sounds a little one note on that album. And I remember like at the time listening to that and thinking, all right, the music is really, really good. It's kind of like classic metal, kind of doomy. And then he's just there. But I think on this more recent album, he really is coming into his own. I mean, tracks like in the past, so good. Save the Truth, Last Request, all really good, memorable songs.
Well, In Ruin came before New Gods, and then the one I was talking about, it was from Chained to the Night.
Yeah, that's even before,
And then there's another one in the middle, Tomorrow's Lost from 2012, which I wrote down. That one has a better drum sound. Sometimes their production kind of varies, but that's got a better drum sound on that album. That's a little more creative to that artwork, right?
Yeah, their album covers are interesting because they're all like really different. They have a really cool logo, but if you look at the logo here, right, looks like it could be a death metal band.
Basically. This is true. Yeah.
And you got this, whatever this creature thing is here, which I always thought was kind of neat. And then, another one of their album covers looks like it could be a death metal or black metal album. And
that's Tomorrow's Lost.
Yeah.
I think it looks like there's a pathway going up a hill.
Yeah. But cool band. I would say out of all these bands, today's episode, they're definitely the most different. They're not what's the word I'm looking for? Not what you'd expect. You look at the album covers, you look the name of the band, because I think Cauldron, it's a doom band or a death metal band, right? But they're not that at all. And the logo looks totally like that. And then you get these weird album covers that kind of don't really fit the music. And then you hear that voice and you're like, oh, okay, well, that's a little bit different, right?
I wrote down from Burning Fortune, which has that video for All or Nothing too. I wrote down the song Rapid City, Unchained Assault, I think it is. If I'm correct. That's got kind of a new wave of British heavy metal upbeat. I wrote down Raven. But yeah, like you're saying, I didn't write many bands at all to reference them, who they sound like, and nobody I wrote down from the new wave of traditional heavy metal. So they really don't sound like anybody else. So I couldn't cite them as a similar sound, you know.
They're pretty unique. Other than the fact that he reminds me of Papa or Tobias, I think musically speaking, they don't really fit into any other kind of mold.
Right.
And each one of their albums sounds a little bit different. So now that was what 2018 that last album came out. So that's already 6 years ago. So it'd be interesting to see if there's any life left in them, and if so, like what a new album would sound like at this point.
Yeah. In Ruin, I thought had the better production. I wrote down.
I would agree.
Ruin now, the previous one to New Gods.
Yeah.
But
if I remember correctly, that was on the End Records, I think, which I don't even think they're in existence anymore, right?
In Ruin?
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm not sure. Have to check that.
Yeah, I know that they were on that label for a bit. I don't remember like which album it was. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So, we have a couple bands on this list today that like have been a little inactive for a while. Some that are still, releasing stuff. So it'll be interesting to see like if we do hear anything else from some of these groups.
Yeah. They're still active on their Facebook pages. So
So
like Cauldron, I think their most recent updates from June 12th. They have a post. I don't see anything about tour dates though.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about them in a while. So, because they were pumping out albums pretty regularly there for a while until the most recent one, and then there's been COVID and nothing since. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
So there you have it, everybody. 5 other new wave of traditional heavy metal bands for you to check out. We'll pop links down below in the comments where you can go and give these guys a listen. So we'll make sure we do something. We'll either direct you to their Bandcamp pages or, a stream on YouTube or something like that. So you can go listen to these albums because there's really good music here. But for me, I would think Eternal Champion and Traveler are my 2 favorites out of these for sure. But they all have lots to offer. So, Claymorean is really good too. So it's a little bit different. Yeah. So we've been pretty good. We've included in this series a few with female vocals, I think, which is good. It's almost good to have.
Yeah, we did Burning Witches already.
Yep.
I'm looking at all my collages, with all the logos.
Yep.
Burning Witches. Maybe there's only 2 so far. Burning Witches and Claymorean, maybe. I'm not sure.
Doesn't Owlbear have I think Owlbear.
Oh, Owlbear too. Yes, 3.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
So, a lot of bands out there. So many more. And so we haven't picked out our 5 yet, but one of them will be the band Iron Flame, which Rich and I both got a hold of their brand new one. So, and we'll be looking forward to talking about them next month, along with 4 other bands. So we'll get that list ready. We'll figure it out once we get done taping here today, and we'll have that ready to go so I can preview it and promote it over the coming weeks. So for those of you folks who like to kind of play along and also be listening to the albums when we get ready to do the shows and you have them handy and whatnot. So that's always good. Yeah. So Rich, what else is going on near you? I know you've been busy with
writing some stuff, did something for the Metal Hall of Fame. I did an article recently, 2 of them. No concerts at Brave Words recently because I haven't been to many over the summer, but I got the Monsters on the Mountain Festival coming up this weekend. So I'll be sharing around pictures and stuff of that. That's in Tennessee. It's kind of like the Monsters of Rock cruise, but it's a ground, it's a place, a venue.
Yep.
And then we got, a few shows coming up in September, right? The fall is kind of going to be a little busy.
Yeah, I got Deep Purple and Yes in a few weeks. And then I've got the King Crimson Beat thing is coming up. And Maiden is coming up in November. And
Maiden, I'm going to go see Slaughter in New Jersey. Powerwolf is coming with a few tour dates.
King Diamond's coming. We got the Creator
Testament and Possessed are going to be doing their tour.
That's October, right? Isn't that October?
That's in October.
Yeah.
So a lot of good stuff coming up. So
Yeah.
I'll be sharing around those pictures from the Monsters on the Mountain to probably Metal Asylum, the Facebook page, Metal Hall of Fame. I'll share them over there. I'll do a thing for Brave Words. And that's most current thing so far.
Cool. Sounds good. Let's see what do we got coming up here on the channel. Let's see. We've got myself and Martin Popoff at the Funhouse tomorrow morning, talking about our favorite 90s riffs. That's we're finishing up our series on riffs. That'll be tomorrow. The Professor's Picks is tomorrow. UK Connection on Saturday, and then Sunday I'll be ranking the albums of Anthrax. So lots more to do this weekend. So stay tuned.
Speaking of ranking albums, should we say who we're finally getting to? Hopefully,
yes. So Rich and I are working on it. I don't know exactly when we'll be doing it, but we're tackling Gamma Ray.
Finally, because we've been getting. We were going to do it eventually, but when we did like Halloween and everybody was like, "What about Gamma Ray?" So we're going to finally get to them.
Yep. So the Power Metal Veterans Gamma Ray is coming from Rich and myself in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that. And visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as a post. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Remember, we'll have the links to go check out all these 5 bands today down below. If you are one of the bands and you're watching, thanks for providing some music. It's always a pleasure, and we hope to see more music from all of you. And please do put some comments down below and say hello to our viewers, because they love when the bands check in. And we'll see you next month here for another episode of the New Wave of Traditional Heavy Metal Primer. For Rich Catino, I am Pete Pardo. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Take care. Take care. Bye-bye.